Alright, today I'm going to give you guys a detailed look at this Batman figure, and it is by Threea, and the name of this Batman is the Steel Detective. It's from their DC line by Threea, and if you own any of the other versions, you might notice something different about this one. It is that the cape is actually made out of cloth, and same with the undersuit. It's also made out of cloth instead of the fake leather. And here's a look at that undersuit. And the whole thing is made out of cloth. And this Batman doesn't come with much. The only accessories that he comes with are these two batarangs, and that's it. Not a base or anything like that either. And first impression when I took this figure out of the box, I've noticed there are issues with it. The first thing I noticed was one of the button, well, two of the buttons are missing on the belt. There's one up here in the front, and then also there's one on the back side. And here you can see on the back side, one of the pouches is missing a button. And while we're at it, let's take a look at the back side of Batman. Here, let me let the cape back down. And the next issue I have with this figure are these fingers, especially the joint. That's the knuckle joint. These ball joints, they are super loose. As you can see, I could barely tapping these fingers and they're moving like crazy already. Especially the middle finger and the fourth finger. These are like super loose. And same with the index. The pinky is a little okay, but everything else, yeah, it makes it extremely hard for him to hold anything, especially the batarang. You have to really work at it in order for him to grip him nicely. The other two joints are fine. It's just the knuckle joint, that's the ball joint that's attached to the palm section. That's what causing the issue here. And the other thing is, when I first took this figure out of the box, the ball joint was not attached to the leg. Both of the boots were loose, and I was able to pop this one back on, but this one was a pain. I had to undo the laces, loosen it up in order for the ankle to reach that ball joint. So yeah. And then the other issue I have, it's the actual suit itself. Let me rotate him back to the center. If you look at him from the front, you will notice that this side is a little longer. You can see this seam here is actually lower than this one. I think it's just the way they put the suit on. They didn't adjust it properly, so this side seems to be down a little bit more than this side. And if I take the belt off, you can see the top of the shorts is actually slanted somewhat like this. So yeah, and I tried to fix the suit, but I wasn't able to get this part up any further. So I'm not sure whether the suit is just too tight for this figure or what, or the stitching is just incorrect. But the side is definitely lower than this side. Even in the prototype photos, you would notice that this side is a little lower than this side. And the next issue I have with this figure is the sleeves. They are way too short. You can see here, it's the gauntlet is barely covering the suit itself. They could have made the suit a little longer so it hides underneath the gauntlet, but I don't know why they cut it so that it's like almost exactly the same length as the top of the gauntlet. So it exposes the underneath the body, which is black. You can see the body is actually black, and then the sleeve actually goes up to like right there, and that's it. I could try to cover it a little bit if I adjust the suit and try to pull it down a little bit in order for it to tug that back in, but it's really annoying. And as for the armor itself, the shoulder pads, when I first got this figure out of the box, this piece of shoulder pad was completely loose. It fell off. It's held on by little ball joints, so I was able to easily pop that in, but I noticed it's not that tight. So if you raise this arm a little too high, you might end up popping this joint out. And then the last thing I had issues with was this little button back here. It came loose when I first took it out of the box, and at first I didn't even know where it came from, because there's no other buttons other than back here. So yeah, I finally noticed a button was missing, so I was able to pop this back on. But again, shouldn't be something that happens fresh out of the pack. And here I got him holding the Batarang, and it does take a little work in order for you to do that, because of those joints are so loose that you have to actually have patience to do this. And even on the side, you can see the suit is actually way too short for the gauntlet. And as far as articulation, it's great. I mean, I wouldn't say great, but pretty good, because the body itself is there's a lot of ratcheting joint. The shoulders are ratcheting joint, and then the elbows also ratcheting joint. You can see it could bend way over 90 degrees. And then the wrists aren't actually on the ball hinge joint, but the peg itself that's attached to the hand, it's a little short, a little small. So if you're maneuvering the wrist, you might just pop that hand right off. And then as for the head, there is a ball joint. There's a ball joint there, but it's quite limited, even though the neck is separated into a couple of pieces. So you think it would give him way better range of motion, but it really doesn't. This is how far up he could look, and he cannot look down at all. And as for sideways, he could turn about that much to one side and that much to the other side. Alright, so as for the torso, he could arch back about that much, but forward, not so much. You can see barely can move forward at all, but again, arch back is quite a bit. And from side to side, let me rotate him a little bit so you guys can see. So the side to side, pretty nice. I mean, a good portion of it, but it's just forward. He's not going to be able to give you a whole lot of crunches. And as for the hips, pretty bad. For a figure that's wearing a cloth suit, that's how far his leg could move forward. And then the knees, quite a bit. He'd bend over 90 degrees, but yeah. And ankles, it's okay. It is limited by the thickness of this boot, of the boot's material. It is some sort of a pleather-like material, so it does limit this range of motion quite a bit, but I was surprised how little the legs can move forward. And on the back of his head, there is a button for the light up eyes, and you need to buy your own batteries. You just need to lift the head up in order to review the battery compartment. And there it is. I basically use some of the Hot Toys batteries, because they're pretty much identical to the ones that Threea is using. Oh, and another thing, when I first got this figure out of the box, the ears were bent. You could easily fix it with hot water, so that's not that big of an issue. And once you press the button on the back, and there you go, his eyes light up, which is really nice. I do like that feature quite a bit. And you notice his Batman symbol is missing from the chest. I was noticing that it's actually up here, which is kind of interesting for them to create the bat symbol up here instead of on the bodysuit itself, which is nice. I do like this feature. I mean, I do like this design quite a bit. Alright, so let's give you a close-up look at the paint job. He looks absolutely fantastic as far as the paint job. You can see all the scuff marks, and then the edges. You can see the silver bits. So it makes this armor looks like it's actually made out of metal. And then the suit, I really like the fact that they use a cloth instead of the rubber material for the cape. And then the undersuit, instead of the fake leather, they're using cloth, which I like, which I prefer quite a bit. And the belt's okay, I mean nothing too fancy, other than the fact that it's missing a couple of buttons. And there's the rest of the suit. Again, it's absolutely nice, the fact that they're using cloth for this version instead of the fake leather. And here are the boots and the laces. Even the boots are weathered, so that's nice. It's really good to see. Oh, and the gauntlet. Let me focus on this so you guys can see. Look at that. That weathering is absolutely gorgeous. And they did add a little grime, dirt and grime on the cape itself, especially on the bottom, so that's nice. Gives it a little more use look to it. And the back of the armor also weathered nicely. Alright, and here's a side-by-side comparison with the Hot Toys Batman from Dawn of Justice. And you can see he is a lot skinnier than regular human figures, and he is actually taller. He stands about almost 14 inches, 13.75 inches in height. And yeah, so a little bit taller than your average 12-inch figure. Alright, so at the end of the day, is this figure worth getting? It all depends whether you like this design or not. I personally really do like this design. It's something different and unusual than your traditional Batman. So I'm happy with this, and the fact that this one is using different material than before. That was the reason why I didn't pick this Batman up before, when they were using the pleather material and the rubber cape. I didn't like that at all, so I decided not to get that one. But if you go online, I'm sure you could find that one for a lot cheaper now. But this version with the cloth, it's gonna set you back about $240, which is how much I paid directly from Bambaland. And I've noticed that it's being sold on the BBTS as well. So initially I thought this was exclusive to Bambaland, and they made a limited run of this. I think it was 300 or 500 units of this figure, but I guess they couldn't sell all of it from the website, so now it's available on other retailers. So one thing I wish they could have done was refining this figure a little bit more, maybe give it a little more accessories, because this is the third version of this guy. We have the day, we have the night, and then now the Steel Detective. They could have given him a little bit more accessory just to make it different, not just the material of the body itself. I mean, that's nice. I like the fact that it's using cloth instead of the rubber and the pleather and all that stuff, but still, there are issues with it, like I mentioned before. The sleeves being too short, buttons that are missing, and then the fingers are super loose, and then the suit itself not lining up properly. So those are all major issues that I have with this figure. I mean, it's not an issue that would stop me from buying this figure. I mean, I do really like the design. It just makes it not worth the $240 that I paid. Because of those issues. Because if you're paying for $240, you expect something to be, if not almost perfect. I shouldn't have to look at these things, fix some of these things myself. But yeah, for $240, yeah, you expect it to be perfect. So overall, if you really do like the design of this figure, I would say give it a go. Well, maybe wait a little bit, because they release what, I think 300 to 500 units, and they couldn't sell them all. So now it's available on other online retailers, so it might actually pay off if you wait a little bit. Maybe the price will go down on it, and you might get a deal on this figure or the other versions. But I say if you're a fan of the design, then you might think about buying this guy just for the fact that this is out of cloth instead of the leather and the fake leather and the plastic cape. Overall, it's still a very nice figure. I'm happy I got it. It's just I'm a little disappointed with the shortcomings of this guy, the QC issues. So other than that, yeah, I'm okay with this figure. So there you go. There's the 3A Steel Detective, and thanks for watching.